Welcome back to House Unplugged. 欢迎回到房不胜防. Today's a special day to us because it's going to be the very first episode that is purely in English. So first of all, let me welcome my partner Prashant. Hi Prashant, how are you?
Hello, Lynn. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, you look great. So Prashant is my business partner. We're the same team and we are friends. Actually, I've never officially confirmed our friendship with you before, but I believe it's in the place because without friendship, without friendship, we cannot cook anything in the real estate. And just to let our listeners know that when needed, we have multiple calls in the day, we have multiple Google Meets in the day, and it's very intensive communication, and we know each other's life condition very well. What do you think, Prashant?
Lynn, you're the only reason, I became a full-time agent. Um,
Thank you.
and I've known you for last, 5 years, and we've never, I think the friendship is inherently assumed. Just the way we work together, our working relationship there's an underlying, uh, fabric of that working relationship, which is our trust and friendship. And I think that's the reason we also, have become very successful partners, business partners together, because of the friendship and trust that we mutually enjoy.
I appreciate you mentioned the word trust because without it, nothing can be done. And this is so important for our internal relationship as a team and also between our clients and us. Trust goes first. All right, what are we going to talk about today?
So, Lynn, I think we can talk about a recent transaction that both of us completed. Um, in this market, I think we take great pride in a very successful and a very smooth closing of that particular property, thanks to how we work together, and also um, very, very nice, buyers who were always open to getting our advice, on the pricing and the strategy. I think that made a big difference in writing a winning offer.
Appreciate our buyers. They're just awesome. I know that.
The other thing I think, Lynn, we can talk about general buyer preferences, especially here in the Bay Area, where we have a strong Asian community population. Just general preferences, in terms of what they're looking for, what really piques their interest. So we could talk about that, and maybe general Bay Area housing market compared to rest of the United States.
Hey, sounds good. Sounds good. I think all the topics will be very interested to our listeners. Let's start from that team transaction, that over 2 million home in Fremont. You led the transaction. You led the whole process. So tell us the whole story.
So this home came on the market um, in early May, or I think just late April, and it was listed for 1.8 million. Yeah, it came on May 2nd, and it was listed for 1.8 million. There were 3, 4 other homes also on the market in that particular community. But this community is a very desirable community in Fremont because of the location, because of convenience to all the freeways and the Bay Area,
Which school
and also.
district? Which school district is it in? In the high school district?
So this one is um, it's Forest Park Elementary and Thornton and American High School in Fremont. So it's a Fremont Unified School District, but rated very highly in Fremont School District.
How did you meet the customers, our clients?
So the way we met them was they had requested to see some homes. They had worked with us before. and they had bought with us in the past with our brokerage, and um, this was about 5 6 years ago. So they were very loyal to us, and and they reached out to us again, in late April, and the tour was set up in early May. I think within a few days of when this home came on the market, or I think they probably wanted to see it the same day it came on the market, if I'm not mistaken. And we saw this home as well as three other homes that were also listed in this community at that time. Subsequently, I also toured a couple of other homes with them in the course of that week.
I see. What's their situation? What's the motivation behind for them to come back to the market again?
Well, so the first home they bought was in Dublin, and the commute was killing them. So they moved back to Fremont. They work for Apple and Tesla, and so they want to be very close to their workplace. Since they bought the home in Dublin, they also had a child, and with a young kid, they wanted to make sure that they are close to workplace and they're able to get home in a short period of time. So Dublin did not work out for them, and so they rented out the Dublin home, and they were currently renting in Fremont before we purchased this home, and they wanted something closer to both their workplaces, and also be able to to come home, or as needed in at short notice.
Yeah, I see. Actually, Prashant, I think it's a very typical scenario now for a lot of our clients. They purchase bigger home, a little bit remote back then, before or during pandemic, but then now commute is coming back, and they'll have to somehow move to a closer place. It's very typical now from my
We are
end.
seeing that trend now all across the Bay Area. Uh, Buyers now prefer to be closer to their workplace, especially with remote work, going away significantly. We see a lot of folks now coming back to the Bay Area. They want to be closer to their workplaces, and in a way, it's good because this is
Yep,
keeping the Bay Area market really strong, actually, while
exactly.
rest of the most other parts of United States has slowed down quite a bit.
Yeah, and also just talking about Bay Area, if someone wants to sell a house in the expanded Bay Area, expanded meaning, let's say, the Mountain House, Antioch, or this type of areas,
Yeah,
it's slower. It's even slower than before, slower than Bay Area because of that, for that reason. Yeah.
yeah. It's much slower because the commute to Mountain House is at least 90 minutes, uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so is Antioch, even Brentwood, Tracy,
Stockton, yeah,
Stockton. The
Lathrop, like those
commutes,
areas.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's come back to the case. And then you met them, showed them a few houses. Did they just feel the click with this house immediately?
Absolutely. They saw this home, and along with this home in that particular tour, they saw two, three other homes. Subsequently, I had a couple of other showings with them, but they kept coming back to this particular home, which they fell in love with, in at first sight.
Mm-hmm.
This home was really exceptional in terms of, just the design and how effortless everything was in terms of the upgrades, very high-end upgrades, finishes, even the bathrooms. One of the primary bathroom had a steam room, and all the bathrooms had skylights. There was a lot of custom work that was done. Even the siding for the home was a custom uh,
Beautiful.
wide siding, which looked really nice on this home. It was really out of the ordinary for compared to the other homes in that community.
I
Um,
see.
yeah.
So can I say that what attracted the buyers to put an offer on this one over the other ones on the market right now, which we have the very high inventory,
Sure.
is the
The buyers
location,
were,
the
yeah, the
location
buyers
and
were,
the
yeah,
upgrades. The location and the
and the
upgrades,
upgrades.
right?
Yeah.
Because let me add a little bit thing here, a little bit here is that we do have listeners who are thinking of selling. So, and we all know it's a slow market. So if we tell them what attracts the buyers, they know how to prepare their home. So under the current market condition, we would highly recommend you to prepare the home to the best, under your ability. That will help selling. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, they were very clear in their mind that the home needs to be move-in ready so that when they move in, they don't want to spend time or money in anything. The home had professionally curated backyard. Um, it had very high-end appliances, and they were all, fairly in new condition. Uh, since the home was owned by a general contractor who typically does high-end homes in Los Gatos, in Bay Area, he had done similar upgrades to his home, and the buyers just fell in love with all those upgrades, and they knew that they would not have to lift a finger when they move in. All they had to do was just pack their bags and move to this new home.
So I have a question here, Prashant. What's your impression of the market value of this home when you see it first time before you did the CMA?
Yeah, yeah. The home was listed for 1.8 million. A similar home sold for, I think, just 1.9 couple of weeks ago. It had closed. But this home had significant upgrades compared to the home that sold recently. Um, so I was thinking it would be more in the, close to 2, maybe 2.1, between 2 and 2.1 kind of a range in terms of, just its value based on similar comps and the upgrades that were done to this home. Then that would be a little conservative. In a very strong market, this home could have gone even above 2.1.
I totally agree with you. It's just the market is slower. Actually, here we have a very good topic. It's the renovation of a home to the home value and the fair market value of a home. So I would just to be simplified. In one word, you want to renovate the home if you want to sell it quickest and the highest, but you don't want to overdo it. Whenever you overdo it, it doesn't, the profit doesn't cover your costs because, the extensive renovation, it won't be appraised and the market won't buy it. It's just a personal preference. But if you
Yeah.
don't do the renovation, especially in a slower market, it won't sell because buyers will be short in the budget. They're struggling with the high interest rate, and they just don't have money to renovate or fix. So it's better to take it over from the buyer's side. So do the renovation, but don't overdo it. What's the golden point? Talk to your realtor, talk to an expert, and you will know. Okay, where should you use the best gold, to sell it to the best result. Yeah.
And if I may add, uh, whatever comes from inspection, home inspection, roof inspection, um, plumbing inspection, fix all of those.
Fix all of
That
them.
way, you have cleared everything that is called out in inspection, and the buyer, then has no doubt left in his mind,
Yeah.
when they move in. And this is precisely what happened to this particular property. The seller, and because he was a contractor, of course, he had an advantage over
It's
others.
a privilege, right?
He
Yeah.
fixed everything. In fact, he went above and beyond and fixed those things that we had not agreed to, because he wanted the buyers to be happy.
Wonderful. That's a very good tip to the sellers now, to the listings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after you look at the CMA, you share the CMA with them. That's our practice, our standard practice for our
Yeah,
team. We always generate a detailed CMA for our
yeah,
customers, so
yeah,
that we try to keep everything transparent, just like this
yeah.
podcast. And then the CMA
And then, if I may
shows.
add to that, while the
Mhm.
CMA is, definitely a significant source of input, I think you also have to judge the market in terms of how many offers are coming in. And I was constantly in touch with the listing agent. In fact,
Yeah, tell us about that part. What information you get from the listing agent for your clients.
well, I use the listing agent as as my source of guide, and that made her
Nice.
feel very important, that we were constantly in touch with her, was asking all the right questions, and also in terms of general activity, what kind of offers they were getting. Uh, in fact, we even had our lender vouch for the buyer, that they would be able to close the home, smoothly and on time. And that also helped a lot because they were able to, then verify, with the lender that this is a strong buyer, and it's almost as good as a cash offer when the lender strongly reinforces the message and the pre-approval letter that goes with the offer. So the listing agent was very confident, that we would be able to close. But she was also impressed with the fact that the buyers were interested in the home, and she definitely helped, um, put our offer in the right perspective with the sellers. Because they had competing offers which were in the similar ballpark, but
Oh, so you mean it's a multiple offer situation.
it
How
was a
many
bit.
offers in total?
There were four offers, but all four were, very close to each other.
Good job, Prashant. I mean, you see, when we say four offers on one listing, someone will say, really, in such a slow market? Yes,
Yeah,
it's because I think it's a very successful listing. The listing agent did a great job
yeah,
selling this home because they listed in the lower price range, and the home is perfectly prepared with tons of upgrades. And also, I think the sellers are very reasonable people, and they were not greedy on the price as well. But we do have a solid, good buyer I mean, working with a great team, right? You and the lender. The lender is a good one too. So.
yeah, yeah. No, the buyers were really, really, they listened to our advice.
Mhm.
In fact, the night before the offer deadline, I think we had almost agreed to bid, an even higher offer. Uh, but because I was constantly in touch with the listing agent, I was able to feel her out and, find out what kind of offer they were getting. So we reduced, our pricing by about 50K. Uh,
Nice.
and that definitely helped, the buyers, get the home at slightly, reduced price. Um, because the buyers wanted this home at any cost, and sometimes when you really want the home, then you offer
You
above
want
and
to go
beyond,
aggressive.
but then you want to be a little reasonable. You don't
Yeah,
want
it's
to
true.
just knock it out of the park. You want to offer slightly more than the second highest offer, so that you still get a winning offer. So I think that is a very tricky calculation, and you need good sense of um, judgment and presence of mind to to put the final number on the offer letter.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. A few things. One is that to summarize is what Prashant trying to say is that the buyers they were willing to bid higher price, but then with you communicating with the listing agent and the sense you got from the other side, you feel like they did not need to put that high. Instead, you suggested them to reduce the price a little bit, and that's the price you got the deal for, right? Awesome. I can't be more proud of you because it's not just you reduce the price for them, And also, this is very tricky and somehow risky for us. To be honest, I did that before too, and I'm happy with it. But I do have experience that when I try to save money for my buyers, I lost the deal. And that's not the best case. That feels really, really bad. Because I did everything out of goodwill for them, but because I should have been more aggressive, because I did not, we lost the deal, and the buyers are not very happy with it. So it's just how to summarize is that we all have the goodwill to help with our buyers, but it's just very tricky. You can't overdo it. You have to be proper and be confident with the
Correct.
number you suggest.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct. And you definitely need to have a good pulse on the
Mm-hmm.
buyer, which is why establishing the trust with the buyer is very important.
Mm-hmm.
That's may not always be the case, you know.
A lot of buyers, when they first approach us, when they don't know how we work, they have the concern, hey, all the agents want to drive the price up. No, the answer is absolutely no. We want to get the property for you with the least cost. But when we need to increase price, we'll suggest you to do so. But when we feel like you can get the property with a lower price, we also will suggest you so. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
trust your agent, but find a good one first.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
For example, as you're aware, we recently wrote an offer on a $2.7 million home. Uh, we offered about 200K below
Mhm.
asking. That was the only offer they received. But after that, I think they probably received a couple of other offers. But the buyer was very clear that he did not want to go over a certain amount.
Mhm.
And this is another example, where the buyer trusted us, but the
We
buyer was
save
also
money for
clear
them.
in terms of, how much he wanted to offer. So
Exactly.
we know that the buyer will come back to us, with other, properties,
And with
and
their friends.
yeah, and there are no hard feelings when they lost this home and finally it went pending to someone else.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, back then I was a little bit concerned about the appraisal for this deal because
Yeah,
again the um, upgrades is more than the average, it's higher than the average in that community. That's where my worry was. How did
true.
the appraisal report come up?
Actually, the appraisal was right on the mark. I think it was maybe 10 or 15,000 the
Oh,
uh,
really?
above the
So
offer
they
price. Yeah,
Nice. That's a
it
great
did.
news. Yeah.
And actually, one other home sold in the same community. It closed recently, a couple of weeks ago. That was 200 square feet more, and that sold for 2.28. So we did not we did not go wrong with our offer, although it was 200 square feet more, and maybe it didn't have the same level of upgrades, but it was still nicely upgraded. But that sold for 2.28. So,
And
uh, you
ours
know,
is 2.205,
2.05,
2.2
50
million
fifty
and
thousand over 2 million.
50,000. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah, I bet we have really, really happy buyers this time. And good
Yeah,
job. I'm just so proud of you. And the whole escrow is super smooth. I mean, there's no question asked, and everything goes super smooth.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I
This was
bet the
a very,
sellers,
very
yeah, the
smooth
sellers happy
transaction.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the listing agent was really experienced. She knew exactly what she wanted in the offer letter. She had
Mm.
detailed instructions. She did not leave room for error when it came to the offer. So
Yeah.
I think that also makes a big difference, is how good the listing agent is. Well, it may or may not work in your favor. If the listing agent is sloppy, you could take advantage of that and, negotiate,
Very true.
better terms. Um, so it can go either way.
Exactly. I think this whole case can be written in a textbook for
Yeah,
both sides, for seller and buyer. It's
correct.
everybody does the right thing and did great job on
Yeah,
this. And
yeah,
also
yeah.
the buyers and sellers are very reasonable people too.
Very, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you
And
for
I'm glad you
sharing.
mentioned about, the escrow. It was so smooth. Um, I
Yeah, because
literally,
I remember I told you
yeah,
if anything arises, just let me know. I can
I
jump
know.
in
And
right
there
away,
was
but nothing
nothing,
happened.
no, yeah, nothing happened. There was nothing for you or for me to, to do anything. We had a good transaction coordinator, and it just everything went so smoothly that, it required minimal oversight or supervision.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I really appreciate you sharing this story with us. But our listeners, our friends, please, please, you know that it's not every time it goes so smooth.
Yeah,
Just keep the conversation, keep the communication with your agent closely for everything and for anything. You don't know how many calls and emails and text message Prashant had made with the clients to have such a great transaction. Okay, so let's talk about the next topic. I know it's about our cultures. So unavoidable
yeah,
that we hear people comparing, hey, you're from India, right? You're from
yeah,
India, I'm from China. So especially in the Bay Area, I've seen so many articles, comments here and there. Some I agree
sure,
with, some I disagree, some I put a question mark there.
yeah,
And we have never got a chance to sit down to talk about your culture and
sure,
how Indian people in the Bay Area, when they make the decisions in
yeah,
related to real estate,
yeah,
what's the motivation and what's the traditions? I know you guys have
yeah,
some celebration or
sure, sure.
ceremony.
Yeah,
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead,
I
tell
think,
us.
yeah, if I were to, I think, generalize, and of course, India again is a big state. It has, 50 different, big country. It has 50 states, and every state has its own language. It has its own culture. Um, so you'll find variations across, states and languages, even in India. I'm sure it's the same in China as well. Uh,
Same.
but I think there are some common themes. One is location. I think. How close they are to work, and also their friend circle. Are they close to their friends or their family?
Hmm.
I think that plays a big role. Location, both from a commute and a convenience standpoint, and just their social network. That I think plays a very important role. So that's one common theme. The second one is schools. If you have kids and if they are going to
Yeah,
school, then
education is so important.
schools education plays a big role. Not everybody can afford private schools, so sometimes they can afford to be. Some of the areas are very desirable, but the schools may not be that great. Like some parts of Santa Clara or Sunnyvale or San Jose, very convenient location-wise, but not all the schools may be great, and some people are still okay with that. Either they have the kids have grown up and they are no longer care about schools, or they just go to private schools. So that is also something I've seen, but much less so because private schools can be pretty expensive. So in general, I think good school district homes do tend to sell faster and retain their value. So
I see.
schools was one. Third one I would say is I think 60-70% of the buyers, the Indian buyers, do care about the feng shui. You know,
风水.
yeah, uh, the entrance. Usually the preference is for northeast or northeast.
Mhm.
Um, Although there are certain parts of India where
What's
south
the
is
best? What's the best facing for Indian
best.
culture?
I think I mean if I were to average out, it would be either north or east or northeast. So
North,
any of those
northeast,
three, I think,
east.
are
Okay.
equally good.
Equally good. Oh,
Yeah,
there's not
yeah,
the best facing,
yeah, yeah.
but
Those
no
three.
south,
Yeah,
no
but no
south
south
facing,
and no west,
no west,
and
no south. I see.
yeah, I think maybe some west is fine, but definitely not southwest,
Hmm.
from what I
Not
have seen.
southwest.
Um,
I see.
but I have also come across some buyers who don't care about the
Yeah.
entrance. They care about how the natural light is in the home, uh, which generally is much better if it's south-facing home, from what I've seen. So I've seen some of those cases as well. But in general, I think a lot of the buyers from the southern part of India, they prefer north or east or northeast. Whereas the buyers from the northern part of India
Mm.
are less sensitive about the
The
entrance.
facing. What's the reason? Is that relate to it's the religion, right?
Yeah, it's rooted in the religion in terms of the direction in which your front entrance should be facing.
Mm.
Um, it has to do with with the Hindu religion,
Yeah.
but I don't know the details about the.
So you're not religious at all, right?
uh, well,
Are you?
I am, but not in this aspect.
I see. I see. Nice. I do feel that Indian people, I heard, let me know if I'm wrong. I heard that MBA is very popular among Indian people. And Indian people are very high educated, especially in the United States. And you care about education very much. Is that right?
That is true because India was under colonial rule till 1947. So it's a new country in terms of the freedom. And when the Britishers left India, they left it very poor. And also, India is now the largest country in terms of population, and the natural resources are very limited. So if you don't have natural resources, then what do you have? Then the next best option for you is education. Um,
True.
so that's why Indians have a lot of focus on education. But there are certain parts of India where they also focus on business. So there are some strong business-oriented communities. For them, the education happens through business.
Mm.
So they usually take family businesses, and so there are generations of families that carry the family business, and that typically you'll find in states like Gujarat, or certain parts of India, where it's deeply rooted in family businesses. But rest of India is very education focused, very education oriented, because that's the only option that they have.
Yep, I see. It's actually very similar to Chinese culture. It's
I think
almost the
so. Yeah,
same. Yeah,
yeah.
but I think uh, if we're talking about culture, then Indian people are more communicative or more social than some Chinese, I would say. Um, like I did not talk so much before I came to United States. Right. Yeah, and
That may
then
be true for
later.
me also. Um, no,
But no,
I
it's
think that is very
communication the first.
person. Yeah, it may be very person specific. I think, and I don't know. It may be possible that I think if you are first generation, U.S. born, um, whether then you're Indian or Chinese, it doesn't matter. I think they are similar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have immigrated here, uh, then I think Indians may have a natural advantage with respect to language, because
True.
it was a British colony, and so therefore, half the population speaks English fairly well, and English is a significant form of communication in India, in business, in corporates. And I think that also plays a role here in terms of, therefore, how comfortable they are um, with communication. But I've seen, folks from other countries, if they are comfortable with English, uh, then I think, then there's no, then they don't have any other barriers.
Yeah.
I
I
think,
remember,
yeah.
yeah, back then my first Indian friends was when I was in China before I came to United States. I was teaching AP Physics in a American high school in China. This it's designed for children, for kids who plan to go to college in United States or to UK. So I had a colleague. He was another physics teacher in my department. He's an Indian from UK, and he has I think a master degree from Cambridge, and awesome. So
Yeah.
he's the very first person I know who has this Indian blood, and he's a very interesting person. But unfortunately, our the he worked for the same school for only less than 1 year, but then he had to go back to UK. And he's very communicative. I remember that, and I was surprised just because I thought that because we're all both Asian, right? I think it's the Asians' culture or tradition that we try to be conservative on everything, but he
Yeah.
wasn't. So I was surprised. Then I realized, oh, even though he has an Indian face, but he's British. He's British, yeah. All right, capture on our current market condition. The case we just shared with our listeners was happened in early May, and that property was on the market not for too long. They set an offer deal. They had aggressive pricing, but right now, only 2 months after, I think it's slower, not significantly, but noticeably slower than 2 months ago. How do you feel?
True, true. I still think that good homes, desirable locations, they sell, they sell fast. Um, of course, it's nowhere near the craziness we had during the pandemic times when there were multiple offers. Even ordinary homes were getting multiple offers. We are nowhere close to that now. We have significantly slowed down uh, all across the country, but more so in Florida, in Austin, in Phoenix, Denver. Um, in the Bay Area, I think it's still a strong market. Um, I would say it's a balanced, between buyers and
I like
sellers.
that word,
Um,
balanced. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's balanced. Where sellers are not desperate, uh, and so they are holding, um, because a lot of them are also locked into low interest rates, and if they, of course, nobody wants to rent out, and while there may be a cash flow positive situation with renting, given low mortgage payments, a lot of people want to free up the money and use it for other things. But it is a very balanced market right now. Uh, the peripheral area of Bay Area may have slowed down a bit, like we discussed earlier, Mountain House and New York, Brentwood, those areas, have definitely slowed down. But the core Bay Area is still holding fairly strong, I would say. Yeah,
I feel like I kind of like the current pace better than 2021, 2022,
yeah,
because um, like for example, we can talk with numbers. Back then, I can write 3 to 4 offers in a day and get nothing.
yeah,
And imagine how busy it could be. 3 to 4 offers. And at every each offer, yes, write an offer 10 minutes, but behind that screen is tons of communication and work and showing homes. So usually one buyer will tour 3, 4 homes to write one offer, right? That's that one offer comes from. And I wrote like 3 to 4 offers in a day when it's really busy. And then you got nothing. But right now, I might be writing 2 to 3 offers a week, but I can darn sure get 2 of them.
well, both.
Just like that, because
Yeah,
why? Because you have buyers' power is going up, and it's more likely to get a deal when you write an offer. But on the other side is the listing is that we have to let the sellers know that the market is like this. We have the data. I show you all the recent sold and the days on the market of similar listings and how and compare the homes. So I kind of like the current pace. It just give me the time to breathe, to really look into the properties that my buyer are interested in. Unlike before, when the market is super hot, I sold multiple properties without me seeing it in person. I had our, other agents to see, and then we do FaceTime and look at it because I just couldn't make time. It's only 24 hours a day. And I even sold homes to my clients that I've never met the clients. We just did like what we're doing, like FaceTime and calls, and I sold them homes, and multiple of them. It's, I mean, it's good in a way, but I prefer what we're doing right now, that I can sit down with my new clients and learn their needs and talk, learn each other, and go deep on their demand. And then we go tour homes, multiple homes together while chatting. And then every offer I wrote out, I know exactly the situation on the other side from the other side, and I know the percentage of the opportunity that we got the deal, and we negotiate back and forth. And with contingencies, we're getting the contract. That's a big plus for the buyers right now. So that's why I like the current pace more than a fast pace. But don't go slower than this, right? Because we do have listings as well.
True, true. And see, here's a funny thing. There's sometimes there is herd mentality, and buyers, tend to pull back because they see that it's slowing down, and when they really want a home, they are stepping back, which also should not be the case because now they are in a better position to negotiate. They can get the home they want. They are not competing in a competitive environment. And I think that's, if you're a strong buyer and you want a home, I think this is a market that you can take advantage of.
Absolutely. I mentioned that in my previous episode as well. And I have to repeat this again. All right. I have a theory. It's like, I think I mentioned this to you earlier as well. So the real estate, the business, any business is like this. It's like along the river, right? And we, as the realtors and loan officers, escrow officers, we're in the river all the time. We detect any change of the current, of the temperature, and everything. But when our customers come into this river, they don't stay in the river for long. They feel the instant temperature and the current, and that they can, there's nothing for them to compare. So that's why we are experts. We call ourselves real estate experts, right? We share our knowledge to our customers, and truly for the clients who wants to buy or sell, they do need our help. And they just need to trust us and listen to us. That's the best way to do real estate. If you're not an investor, a constant buying or selling, then that's the best way to do. Yeah. Do you have any suggestions for investors? So
Uh,
for
yeah.
investors, let me add a little bit more. So when we invest a home, uh, basically there are two purposes. One is the cash flow. But for Bay Area property, it's hard for you to get a cash flow right away, unless you're doing a high down payment or cash. Another way to gain profit is the long-term appreciation, right? So do you have any suggestions or advices for the investors of this too?
No, my investing philosophy has always been capital appreciation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the the cash flow is mostly to keep the lights on because even as an investor, you probably don't want to put all your money into the home. Uh, so try and take a loan if you can, because that would still make the most sense. Although the interest rates are high, you can still refinance, next year or even maybe later this year. So always take a loan because you always want to keep that cash aside for renovation, for remodeling. And I think that's where, as an investor, it makes most sense. Look for good fixer-uppers. It should have strong bones, good location, where you know that it will definitely appreciate. And fix a property, and if you can hold on to it till the market comes back up, I think that I think this is a really good time for investors also to jump in.
Just to add something that I forgot to mention, that Prashant is not just a full-time realtor, a successful full-time realtor. He also invests. He has been investing for decades and had it's very successful investments, right? You are making profit and they're appreciating. So Prashant have very good eyes on finding the right property to renovate. Would you like to share your story of investing in real estate?
Yeah. Although I have slowed down a little bit now, Lynn, because of the high interest rates. Because my philosophy is, you still want to just put 20-30% down and take the balance as a loan. And sometimes the equations may not make sense immediately. It made a lot of sense back then, 3 years ago, when the interest rates were in the twos and threes, and that's when I was very, very active. After that, I did get into one other property, which I'll refinance next year, with low interest rates. But the location was very, very desirable, a really good school district, and I know
Where is
that
this property?
this is in Mission San Jose in Fremont. So I know that this I will not go wrong. But sometimes you have to take risks, calculated risks. It may not always be the case that you are 100% correct, but at least even if you break even, 1 out of 10 times, the other 9 times you make profit, should not, deter you from investing.
That's very true. That's very true. Yeah. Thank you so much for Prashant for sharing your recent transaction and introducing to us your Indian culture and the experience of your investing story, and really appreciate that. So time flies. I think we'll have to say goodbye to our listeners for now, but I'm pretty sure Prashant will come back. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this episode will accompany you for 15 minutes, 40 minutes of happy time. All right, see you next time. Bye bye.